All right, welcome to the channel with Miss Chantell, where we talk things out. We're about to talk about some things, some interesting things tonight. I need to check my audio because my phone is kind of bugging out tonight, and I need to check my audio to see what's going on. All right, give me a second. Oh boy, yeah, it's kind of acting up, but hold on. Hmm. Okay, listen. Um. All right. Yeah, I don't want to be talking to myself. I've done this before by mistake. I need to check this audio to see how this going. Give me a minute. Okay. Okay, that's good. Let me get back to my music. And we're gonna talk about this right quick. This is interesting. Very interesting what I heard tonight. I'm gonna share this audio with you. You're gonna trip out. I said, hell to the no, no. No, they not. Child. But I want you to hear with your own ears, okay? Give me a second. Let me get back to my radio station. I said, honey, when people trying to survive, I guess they do what they got to do. But it's kind of low because you're mixing other people up in your stuff, your mix, and that's not cool. Okay, 1 second. All right, turn this down. I hope y'all having a wonderful night. Miss Chantel is having a wonderful night. Thank you. My phone is acting up tonight. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm gonna leave it at that. Now listen, let me turn this down because I want you to be able to hear this audio. So I happen to be, I wasn't gonna go live tonight, right? Miss Chantel been taking care of business and been pretty busy. So I was not gonna go live tonight. I was gonna do it another time, of course. Looking forward to doing another time, maybe tomorrow. But I had to go live tonight when I heard this guy talking on one of these panels, and what he said, I was like, that is so low. It's really low. Listen, these people, I guess when you're in survival mode, you're liable to do a lot of different things because you're thinking about your own ass at that point. And you're going to do whatever it takes for you to survive. You're not going to care whether you're putting other people in danger or not. I would, but I know a lot of people wouldn't care if they're putting other people in danger. Running up in our churches, seeking cover in our churches is putting our people in danger. You don't do that. And then want to get on the airwaves and announce to other Africans the best place for them to go is to a foundation of like American church house because they can't congregate on their own anymore. Or they can't go to the white churches, which they would prefer before they go to our churches, but they can't go there because they stand out clearly. They can't go to other immigrant churches because, the ICE is after it. So they go into the foundation of Black American church houses. And they said this out their own mouth. I've heard a few of them say this, not just this one, but with this one, I wanted to share it. He said it so proudly. He said, yeah, the Tariq guy is just mumble jumble because, I go to a Foundation of Black American Church and they welcome us. And, they're nothing like that. They welcome us. And yeah, the best place to go is to the Foundation of Black American Church and so forth. So they're running up in there hiding for cover. You wouldn't really deal with them if the Trump administration, the anti-immigrant Trump administration was at play. But because the anti-immigration Trump administration is at hand, scooping the ICE people scooping everybody up, immigrants, you think it's okay to now go to the Foundation of Black American Church houses. Now you want to go to their churches. You stand out in a white church. Other immigrant churches are being, you know, targeted by ICE. You can't congregate in your own spaces right now. So now you want to go to the Foundation of Black American Church houses. That's a form of usury. That's not a form of brotherhood. It's a form of usury. Yeah, we're treated good. And, it's none of that BS. That's online crap that these people talking. They treat us good. I guess so. You go give them a sob story. Let me say something. Romance scamming is not just a phone thing, people. Romance scamming is in your face too, okay? It's not just the telephone thing. We didn't say that word in a long time. Telephone. It's not just a phone thing. It's a in your face type of game as well. Anytime somebody come in with a sob story, but I want you to hear this for yourself and share it among our people. Let's get into this video right quick. Okay, wait a minute. Let me turn this down. I said, honey. All right, let's get into the video. Malcolm X even talked about when he left the Nation of Islam, how he realized that there was anti-integration and they brought people to die about entire groups of people. Right? And we stopped by the FBA, ADOS, they tend to do their basis. Once again, we had to excommunicate the sister show, and once I use the word sister, and give quotes, because she started to engage some violent rhetoric that was in nature by stating that don't come to us when ICE comes looking for you, right? And we know that the overwhelming majority of Americans are here legally, not illegally, right? So we see this type of negative vitriol, right? I can't give a damn if someone calls themselves African American or not, right? And it doesn't change the quality of my life in the way, shape, right? But once again, and one of the brothers said in the comments, they talk about resources. Well, what are these resources? Right. So we're speaking in the manner. Okay, it's getting there. Give it a minute. It's gonna get there. What say you? What part of Cleveland, if you don't mind me? Are you in? Are you in the city or are you in the suburbs? I'm in the suburbs of Cleveland. Okay. All right. Cuyahoga County. 216. There, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I got a lot of lake effect snow today, didn't y'all? It was on Monday. I just came back from Chicago, but I know Monday. Okay. So, yeah. It was in Iraq. Okay, in Iraq. Okay. Yes, and speaking of immigration and stuff, ICE was heavy. They've been heavy in Chicago because it's seen as a sanctuary city. So, everybody has to be cautious. Regardless of whether you identify as African or Black American or immigrants and whatever immigrant background you're from.
there should be a certain level of caution, when you go into these types of cities and these environments. But anyway, in regards to the sister who was removed, and she mentioning ICE and so on and so forth, contrary to what you were saying, that in churches, in Pentecostal churches in Ohio, there have been some African, or I should say Ghanaian or West African immigrants who have failed to show up to church services for fear of removal to the current administration. So there's a level of fear, but I mean, to be honest, if you want to shield yourself, the best place to shield yourself is the Black church, or I should say the African American church, and not an African church, because they will. It's easy to target an African church as opposed to a Black American church where 99% of the members are Black Americans. So, real quick, we use the term African American here. I apologize, African American. Yes, African American. Very good. So yeah, Sister Shy, brother Mr. K said, remember, even if you don't identify with an activist, still work with it. Actors have solely worked with those. So just something.
I wanted you to hear that. Now that was a little bit. I wanted you to hear directly what he had said in that particular um, time that he was speaking. But on another instance, when he spoke, he also was talking about how um, the Tariq thing is a bunch of gibberish stuff online, and foundation all Black Americans aren't down with it, and he's welcome and comforted in the foundation of Black American church houses and so forth like that. And then they went into talking about this Tariq guy. Listen, I'm a foundational Black American woman. I use the description because I have no immigrant in my lineage, mother and father side. Okay, no immigrant. So I do believe the distinction needs to be made that Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, aren't an immigrant lineage. That needs to be understood. We're not immigrants. Don't lump us in with immigrants as though we're immigrants. Now, I wanted you guys to hear that. I thought that was very disgusting to hear. These people clearly, when they come to America, they have nothing to do with foundational Black Americans on no kinds of level. We know how it was before Trump got in the office. They was disrespecting us, talking all kind of crazy, telling us we not Africans. I mean, just recently telling us we're not Africans. If we Africans, what tribe did we come from? We don't know who we are. All this old crazy stuff. Then as soon as Trump get in office, now they want us to be Africans. But we didn't flip the script. We like, nah, we're not Africans. You're right. We're not Africans. You're immigrants and we're not. And Trump wants to get rid of you immigrants. Now they're fighting to make us, trying to damn near force us to identify as Africans, to cover them some sort of way. I don't know how that's going to help them, because once this man get martial law enacted or whatever he plans on doing, collecting people up, tagging them in the system, a lot of people going to be done away with back to their homeland. A lot. 3 years. Still got 3 years to go. A lot more temporary protective statuses are going to be done away with. I heard an African guy on his platform talking about big ups to the Somalians because they did something that we foundational Black Americans have never done. Started malls and took over a town and got into government. I'm like, how dumb is he? He's super dumb. We've done all those things and more. We've invented every damn thing you touch around this camp. Listen, 95% of everyday things you use in America was invented by Black Americans. Dry cleaning services. Mhm. All of it. Even when you use your phone with caller ID, three-way call, and all of those stuff. Oh, yeah. From the medical industry, technology, the technical industry, technology industry, STEM, all of it. 95% of it was invented by Black Americans. When you touch your doorknob, flip on your light switch, your heater, your dryer, your refrigerator, food trucks, blood banks, all of it, baby. Women, maxi pads, game controller, the little pieces the kids hold in their hands and play the game. All of that there. All of it. Okay. Hot curler. hmm hmm So you're not doing anything that we haven't done. Our people got doctorate degrees way before any melanated immigrant touched the land. They already done all of those things. And the jealous hearted white tea people came behind them and always tore it down. Because one thing you should know about this country, the white tea people in this country are very jealous hearted. They don't want to see anybody get ahead of them. Do you really think that the Somali country in Minnesota is going to stand tall and long? Watch and see. Okay? But listen, the stupidity of it all is that when you have your own land, your own country, and you have to run out of it to survive, or you have to run out of it to make a living, I have to question what the hell is going on with your people over there. What is going on? Why do the people, let me turn this down. Why do the people have to run out of their own land to develop themselves, establish themselves? A person from that type of country should never speak on other people's countries and issues because that makes you like it's far beyond a hypocrite. It just makes you seem a little dumb. Okay. So I wanted you guys to hear that. They're going up in foundational Black American church houses now, hiding out there, letting other immigrants, other Africans know that's the best place for them to go right now. Ugh. Oh my gosh. Listen, these people wouldn't have had nothing to do with those foundational Black American people had not Trump won this election, this term, and the immigrant, say the lady won, what's her name? Kamala, say she had won. They would not have nothing to do with you. They would continue to be telling us we're not African, which we're not. Anyways, talk to your people's Foundation of Black Americans and let them know what's up. Talk to your people. So let's move along to something else I wanted to touch on. I did not have any plans on going live tonight, but I just wanted to share that because I heard it on another stream I was listening to, and I was like, "What? Are you for real? Now you running up in Black Foundation of Black American church houses?" Then he wanted to announce the denomination. Oh, I was like, oh, what? No way. Let's move along. Let's talk about this right quick. I have been hearing about this food stamp thing where Black Americans would, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? Listen, with food, let me give you a little rundown on the history of food stamps in the South, in the upper states as well. Foundational Black Americans were always in a position where they did not get the same amount of food stamp benefits as whites. When the program started, they were shorting Black families a whole lot. Okay? White people got the majority, white families got the majority. Like, say for instance, they were giving 800 to a white family. A Black family would only get 250. They had to make it work for themselves and find other ways, other means of feeding themselves. They did that for a very long time. Okay? They did that for a very long time. Black families were not getting full benefits, food stamp benefits like white people for a very long time. They had to make it work for them. So they had a lot of church houses that became food banks and farmers, and everybody had to link up together and make it work because they had Black farmers. Let me tell you something. Back in the days, they had thousands upon thousands of Black farmers that owned their own farms. And the history goes, the people stole the land, bought them out or stole the land. And the number of Black farmers dwindled greatly. But let me tell you something. The Black farmers will link up with the churches and so forth, and our communities ate babies. Nobody died of starvation. They ate. They just had to work together like they did back in the day. Okay? We had a lot of food banks that popped up via the Black church. And we got to talk about that one day. The Black church house being the meeting ground to build the Black community. What happened to it? It was infiltrated like all the rest of our stuff. Like our families were infiltrated, our men were infiltrated, all of it. Our community, and it even infiltrated our church houses. One day, I'll talk about that. But right now, I want to touch up on this food stamp thing, give a little history of that. Like I said, they shortened black people never got food stamp benefits like white families. They never got equal amount. Okay, and so they had to learn to link up and work with each other. I don't know how old you guys are, but listen, I'm old enough to remember when we lived in the projects, and some of you didn't live in the projects, but when we lived in those times, back in the days where your mom would send you over to the next door neighbor's house and say, go tell Shirley next door, I need a cup of sugar. Go tell Brenda across the way, I need a loaf of bread. And that's how it went. Families helped each other and shared food. Some of y'all might be old enough to remember this. Remember, y'all? Don't forget now, we helped each other a lot. Our families would send us across the way. We needed a can of tomato paste or a loaf of bread or a cup of sugar. We all shared with each other, baby. That's how we work and survive, work together and survive. We shared with each other. Okay. And like I said, they had a lot of black church houses that became feeding pantries and all that. And one of the organizations, the Black Panther organization, they became the most famous. Well, they became famously known for their feeding program because um, they knew how to strategize for as state to state, city to city, how to make sure all of our communities around the country was being fed. So they strategized. They had a chapter. They started, of course, in Oakland, California, and then they had a chapter in LA. Then they went and opened up a chapter here and a chapter there and a chapter and so forth, right? They were linked up all around the country. And that's how it's supposed to be. They were linked up and they started different chapters and every chapter knew what they were supposed to do. They had a feeding program where they made sure the children ate breakfast, lunch, dinner, breakfast before school, dinner after school. They made sure they ate, baby. The men, the brothers came out and cooked and served, all of that. The women participated. Oh, yeah. Okay. That became one of the most famous, well known feed the hungry organizations of our communities, the Black Panther Party. Now, the Black Panther Party, not only did they have a feeding program, they had many, many other programs. They had many, many other programs. They had educational programs. They had clinics. What else they had? They had legal aid assistance to cover people, help people out with um, legal aid. They had plenty programs. And it was all about Black empowerment, Black pride. So I want you to remember that. Don't ever forget our people did not survive because we had government assistance. Our people survived because we helped each other. We worked together. And that's what'll happen if it comes to the point where we just don't have any food stamps or anything. We just gonna clump right back up and get to helping each other. Period. That's how they go. So, um, yeah, don't forget that though. We helped each other. We gave food to each other. We fed each other, baby. Okay. All right. So, um, let me also touch up on what else, because I was not expecting to go live tonight. But when I heard that stream, I just wanted to share with you guys and give you guys an update alert that these people are running in our church houses, y'all, for cover. Y'all need to talk to y'all people who go to these churches and let them know. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on you. When you know when somebody who they are, when a mask has fallen off and the true face, the true them has been revealed, and you continue to allow them to play in your face, shame on you. That's what I'm gonna say. Okay? Yeah. So, um, what else I wanted to touch up on? I want to touch up on the church, the food stamp, something else. I hope y'all having a good day out there in the YouTube world. Okay, let's see. Um, that's another thing. The Black Panther Party did have a library too. They opened up little libraries with black history books, teaching our kids and our people, educating them about our history in this country. Yeah. I'm seeing in the news now, well, not in the news so much, but on YouTube, they have these, the black conservatives are being tossed all the way out the yard, baby. They're not just being tossed out the yard, they're being tossed across the city. The TP groups and organizations, they're like, we don't need you anymore. We didn't thought up another way to complete our mission. We don't need you anymore. And they tossing them left and right. They out here tossing them what we call coups and yeah, baby, they tossing them left and right. Mm-mm-mm. It's so embarrassing. And they're celebrating the Candace Owens girl that's supposedly got like, I guess she surpassed. She's the number one podcast or something. I think they say that's nothing to celebrate. It's a disgrace, to be completely honest with you. It's a total disgrace for somebody to spew such hatred towards the foundational Black America while pretending to be us, mind you. Ain't nothing but a full blood Caribbean pretending to be us, though. Why do these immigrants be talking about their parents were sharecroppers, their grandparents? I'm like, what? I had one of them tell me his mom was a sharecropper. I'm like, how old is your mama, baby? Sharecropper ended so long, look like, oh my goodness. What is she, like 200? They be talking about their mom and grandpa was a sharecropper. Listen, this girl pretends to be half FBA when she's really not. There's nothing smart about such a person. That's spewed what she spewed. She has a hatred towards you. I don't care what she so called achieved. That's not an achievement. Her podcast is set up to completely disrespect and work at the erasure of foundational Black Americans' history in smearing our culture. How can you celebrate that? That's nothing to celebrate. It's a complete this it's something to be ashamed of. Think about it like this here. When you get older, you're gonna have grandchildren. And they're gonna want to hear your stories, the wonderful things you did in life, right? What things you did that was fun and how did you contribute to the world in your time, your youth? How did you contribute? And so to tell your children, I contributed, I had the number one podcast online. Well, what was it about, Grandma? Oh, I was taking down a culture of people that was bad and erasing it. And we were all about becoming one culture under the white T man so that we can become a better people. My freaking goodness. My goodness. That's nothing to celebrate. That is, listen, people, you celebrate when somebody have contributed to making society a better place for everybody, not just themselves, right? You celebrate somebody when they have contributed to making society a better place to live for everybody. period. We celebrate people that share. We celebrate them and we appreciate them because they're contributing to making society a better place for everybody. We celebrate people that adopt children and raise them as their own because they're contributing to making society a better place by helping children who don't have parents. That's what you celebrate. We celebrate people like, what's his name, the biracial dude, the big afro, Kappa, Kappa Nickel, Kappa, Kappa Nickel. We celebrate people like him. This man, he during a time, he sacrificed his career by going against the powers that be. He knew that they were going to knock down his career because he went against them. But he was willing to give that up for what he believed in and stood for. That's to be celebrated. Wow. That's to be celebrated. And in return, God blessed him with more anyway. Then he did it again. He heard of something and he helped this family get whatever they needed. We celebrate people that help other people that contribute to making our societies better places to live. We don't celebrate people that do smear campaigns on other groups of people that they're not of. She's not one of us, regardless to what she say. Clearly, her heart is telling you who she is, and she's most certainly not a foundational Black American lineage person. I don't know if you guys ever seen a video of her being interviewed by a woman. I forgot this white woman's name, but that girl, the woman asked her why she don't speak on her Caribbean roots, and she went to talking about how Nicki and Rihanna is a vibe and they're the best thing ever, and she don't talk about Caribbeans because Caribbeans are smart. Now she just identified as a foundational Black American woman, but then she went on to say she Caribbeans are smart and Africans are smarter. They don't carry on with the slavery stuff and slave narrative, and that's what make her smart because of her Caribbean roots. So while she's claiming to be a foundational Black American, she's uplifting Caribbeans, and I guess she claiming to be a Caribbean too. But at first, you say everybody was a Black American, but you just made distinctions between every the stupidity of it. I don't know who sees her as smart. She's an idiot to the fullest. Like, what are you guys hearing when you hear her talk? She is hateful. She's extremely jealous hearted towards foundational Black America. And it won't get her far. If anything, she needs to go get a cleansing. She needs a cleanse, a spiritual cleanse in that heart. You should have seen the video. She was so you can see the hatred she has for foundational Black Americans. I don't know, maybe she was with one of our brothers and they must have really hurt her bad or something. Because baby, she does not like foundational Black Americans. Like, what the hell is up? She might have was with one of them brothers. Mm-mm-mm. And he caused the lady to be hurt and she done went crazy on everybody else. But there's plenty like her. Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to touch upon that. we celebrate people that contribute to the community to make it a better place for everybody, not just for them and their family, but for everybody. A true leader, a true leader is a person that contributes to society, to their communities, that not only themselves and their family have a good life, but other people, other people in the community. I have hiccups. Give me a second. But other people in the community have a good life as well. Okay. So if I had $1 million, I'm not going to just make sure my kids have this and that, but I'm also going to contribute to the community to make sure other kids have the same things that I purchased for my children, because I have more to share and purchase for other people's children as well, especially foster kids too, who just don't have anybody. That's the type of stuff we celebrate. We don't celebrate people who disgrace in our communities. That's not to be celebrated. A lot of stuff is backwards today. It's so different today. A lot of stuff is backwards. That's how you know when someone is truly about the community or not. That person is going to make sure they're not the only one benefiting from whatever the heck they're supposedly doing. They won't be the only one benefiting, but the community is going to benefit from it as well. Okay? All right. So moving along from that. Moving along from that, I heard the guy on the, I heard him talking and he lied. He said on the platform earlier, he said W.E.B. Du Bois' parents was immigrants, and I'm like, nah. I looked it up. I'm like, oh, here we go again. They make everybody into immigrants. Like we all immigrants. No, honey, foundational Black Americans are not immigrants like yourself. You have to stop that nonsense. It's just stupidity. It is stupidity. And we definitely have to put something towards um, our government making it understood that we demand to have a cultural distinction here as well. I like what they did in the UK, what the Caribbeans did in the UK. They demanded that the government recognize the cultural distinction between Caribbeans and Africans. I like that. And that is what we need here. That's what we're doing with delineation. But we need to, that needs to become not only reparations, but cultural distinction needs to be a part of our reparations as well. When I say cultural distinction, we're demanding to be identified as foundational Black Americans that are, we are not immigrants, period. Okay? Cultural distinction needs to be a part of what we demand from our government. Every group has demands from their government that provides for them. And we have every right to have demands of our government. Okay? Like everybody else. All right. So, what else I wanted to touch up on? I talked about the food stamp bill. We're not threatened by that. We survivors. I talked about the church thing. I talked about cultural distinction. Oh, here's another something I wanted to bring to you. So I had been hearing about immigrants saying they built the country, America. And so Latins in particular, right? So when you look into it, when you look into it, well, I wanted to look into it. I dipped into it and I was like, let's see what they're talking about then. Because, I dismiss it too. I'd be like, y'all didn't build America. You need to stop that. But I dipped into it. I said, okay, let's see how they built America. Let me give you a quick history about Mexico. So it's very interesting. I never knew this. I knew it was a bunch of mixed people down in Mexico, though, in Central America. And so, okay, so we know that the native people were here first. Very dark, 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 dark skin. All the natives around America was dark skin in the beginning. When I say dark skin, I mean deep, 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 deep dark. Okay. And so the Spanish arrived to the Spanish arrived to what they call Mexico today, right? And so when now remember they had already been shipping slaves to the Caribbean, to South America and stuff, okay? And these Spanish people was known to always have Africans on board as their helpers and servants, okay? They always had a load of Africans on board as helpers and servers. And so everywhere they went, they brought them along. And so they arrived in what's today called Mexico, the Spanish, right? And so when they got there, of course, they already had the native people, an established empire, great empire, but they were defeated. Okay. And so conquered, they were defeated and conquered, and the Spanish took over. They named that empire, that place, they named it New Spain. Now, many other Spanish began to come over to that particular land and what is known as Mexico today. And they established, let's say, a racial, how can I say it? I mean, I guess it's a racial caste system. Yeah. Okay, this is how it went. The Spanish that was born in Spain, they were on top. And then the Spanish people that was born in the new colony called New Spain, they were underneath the Spanish people. Yeah, it was levels to it. And then the Creoles who were mixed with Spanish. Okay. And when I say Creoles, I mean a native. There were no Mexican people. I'm telling you how the Mexicans came about because there were no Mexican people. It was only Spanish people from Spain, Europeans, Africans, enslaved and free slave Africans, and native people who was conquered. And so those three groups is what made who was dwelling in the new land called New Spain. The racial system that was set up was the Spanish from Europe was the very top, the leaders, and then their children, Spanish children born in New Spain was underneath, and then the mixed people, the Creoles, the ones that had the natives that was half Spanish. Okay. Then there was ones that was they had African, native, and Spanish mixture. They were underneath the. I mean, it's something you got to read about this. It's a trip. But listen, the Mexicans is the descendants of Spanish and native tribal people. That's who the Mexicans are. And then there are some Mexicans that are Afro mixed with Spanish, and native lineage. Those are called, they are called mestitos. Okay. So you got the Spanish people, you have the Mexicans that is, shit, I forgot how to go. Listen, I don't even feel like breaking down a mixture, but they got ones that's three different kinds. They have a native and Spaniard mixture. And then you got the Afro and native mixture. They were known as indigenous Afro or Afro indigenous. And then you had the ones that was mixed with all three. They called Masito. All of these people became known as Mexicans only when they fought for independence from the Spanish and won. They took over and became known as Mexico, and the people became known as Mexicans. So Mexican people are people that have Spanish and indigenous lineage. And then you have those black ones that have African, Spanish, and native lineage. Okay? That's who Mexicans are. That's their lineage. So anyway, they won their independence. And I say about 20 or 30 years later, America showed up on the scene and took parts of their country. Now, the part of the country, their country, that America took was from California, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona. All of that belonged to the Mexicans. And America came and took over. The citizens of Mexico became known as Americans because American ran that territory. It no longer belonged to Mexicans. But America did not enslave any of them. The lands were already built up because when the Spanish got there, the European Spanish got there, they had enslaved the indigenous people and the Africans they had brought there with them. They enslaved them to do all the things they needed to do. Okay. So when Mexicans won their independence from the Spaniards, they ended slavery. And the president, of course, who they chose to be president was Afro. He was mestizo. He was Afro, indigenous, and Spanish mixture. Like we foundational Black Americans have that, mixture. And so he was an admixture of that. And so he ended slavery. And about 30 years later, America hit the scene, took their countries, half of their country, not half, but took a good bit of their country. And those citizens that was in that country became Americans. So there are people of Mexico descendants that is Americans because America took over their land. But once again, they did not build, they were not enslaved in America, nor did they build America for Americans. They built America for the Spanish, but Americans just came and took over, conquered and took over the countries, but they were not enslaved. When they took over the countries, they didn't enslave them or anything like that. So when they say they built America, those particular southern countries in the Southwest, that America stole, that America conquered and took from them, was built by them. But they did not build the real deal America, because those countries didn't belong to America. Those countries belonged to Mexico that America just took over. That's why they be saying, we built America. No, America stole your countries. You built up those countries, yes, but America stole it. And they did not enslave you. They just stole your country. So you really didn't build America. America stole your countries. You know, there were no immigrants documented as being forced to build the infrastructure, lands, road, everything. All the inventions is pretty much foundational Black American doing and workings and cleverness and smartness and intelligence and engineering and all those wonderful things. Okay. But I do not blame them, because America used immigrants to try and flush us out, try and make us not have, you know, meaningful gains to survive or so forth, until we get up under them and identify as one of them. They don't want us to have our own culture, our own mindset, our own everything. They want us to be followers of them willingly. And clearly that's not happening. The people is not doing it. And so they use the immigrants to do this. And it backfired, because cheap labor, it affected white people as well. Everybody just wanted to hire cheap labor. Why pay my labor force 100,000 a year when I could pay them 50,000 or even less a year? Okay. A lot of the government workers and stuff have cheap labor workers as well. So it's not something easy to get rid of, because that's what they're having issues with all around the world, cheap labor. Okay. But it ended up affecting all races who were um, legal here. And so I'm not against the immigrants fighting to stay here now that they no longer need it, because AI is taking over everything, and they don't need people to work these jobs, like talking about it or whatever, because it's becoming automated. And now the immigrants are fighting to stay here. They're fighting to take over and stay here. Can't be mad at that. Okay. And so, yeah, that's my take on that. I hope you understood what I was saying about the mixture of those Mexican people and the whole get up about them, because, when I get into talking about the mixtures of people, that gets boring to me. I'm like, oh my gosh. But I want you to know that when you say a Mexican person, it's a person that has Spanish, European Spanish, and native lineage. And then when you see the Afro Mexicans, that is the ones that have African, European Spanish, and native mixture. And then they have some of these Mexicans who just strictly have European and I say that. Okay, there's the ones with the it's three types. Is this European Spaniard and native ones. Okay. Then there's the Afro indigenous Mexicans. That means they mix with African and indigenous, native indigenous. And then there's the ones that's mixed with all three: European, Spanish, African, European, Spanish, African, and Native. They called them mestizos. Okay, that's the history of those people lineage. They were called Mexicans once they won their independence from New Spain. Uh, the European Spanish came to what is called Mexico today, conquered the native empire that was built around there, conquered them, the native people, enslaved them, along with some of the Africans they brought. They had free Africans and enslaved Africans, and so they enslaved the Africans and natives right alongside each other, and their populations grew. They ended up winning their independence against the Spanish, and they named the country Mexico, and it became known as Mexican. Okay. About 20, 30 years after independence was won, American came along and conquered their lands, some of their land, not all, which was from Texas, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, New Mexico, Arizona, and California. America took over all of that right there, which Southwest that belonged to Mexico, and called it America. And the people that was in those lands, they were then considered American citizens. So once again, there's Mexican people that naturally became American citizens after America took the land. Okay. All right. The next session, I'll talk about some other immigrants who migrated here, very small groups during slavery. And but they were very small groups, and at that time they had racial quotas concerning immigration. So once they finished doing what they needed to do, they had to get the hell on. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, I'm sleepy tonight. I'm gonna wrap it up right here. Thank you for tuning in and listening to Miss Chantell. Share the video if you like, but listen, drop a comment. Let me know what you think about these people going up, running in the church house, Foundation of Black American Church Houses for cover. Mm-mm-mm. Child, child. Thank you for tuning in. Have a good night.